Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chicago Fire star reveals he wants Otis to return to show after 5 years. Otis' death was a devastating blow to all of us. The firefighter perished in the season 8 premiere, and frankly Chicago Fire has never been the same. It's still been great, but the notion that any character could die at any time was solidified. Otis being dead means that fans have not gotten to see him since season 8, of course. It doesn't take much of an explanation as to why. But Yuri Sardarov, the actor who plays Otis, has not given up hope of a Chicago Fire comeback. The actor recently spoke with Screen Rant about his career and his upcoming film. He was asked about his time with the One Chicago franchise and revealed that he would very much be down to return and rejoin the actors who remain his friends to this day. "Oh my God," Sardarov said when asked about a Chicago Fire return. "Look, that's my family. We got so close on that set, and I just saw a bunch of them the other week. And I would do it in a heartbeat." The actor admitted that working with the other OG Fire cast members would be the main reason he would want to come back. "I miss everybody and I love everybody," Sardarov asserted. "It was just such a pleasant set to be on." This stance makes sense given the circumstances in which the actor was written off the show. Otis' exit was not a case of an actor wanting to move on, it was a case of writers and producers deciding that a death would be an impactful decision for the narrative of the show. Otis' death was meant to shock and upset viewers, and it did just that. As we mentioned at the onset, the character's shocking exit proved that every character was in danger on a weekly basis, which is a fear that viewers carry into the current season. It ramps up the tension whenever Firehouse 51 goes to the scene of an emergency. The big question regarding an Otis return, of course, would be how it fits into the show. The character is dead, but Chicago Fire hasn't employed flashbacks since the beginning of season 3. They could go the Chicago PD route and have Otis appear as a vision to one of the other characters, Cruz, if we had to guess, but it would run the risk of seeming like a rehash of a novel and recent PD episode. We aren't sure how the Otis comeback would be handled, but we have to admit, we're intrigued. Are you? It was a crisp December morning when Joe Minoso, known to fans of Chicago Fire as Joe Cruz, sat down for an interview in Chicago's bustling West Loop. Wrapped in a warm coat and nursing a steaming cup of coffee, Joe radiated warmth as he spoke about his time on the show, its enduring success, and the one wish he has carried in his heart for the past 5 years: the return of Otis, his beloved friend and Firehouse brother. Otis, played by Yuri Sardarov, was one of Firehouse 51's most endearing and memorable characters. His death in season 8 still lingers as one of the most heartbreaking moments in the series. Fans cried alongside Cruz as he whispered his final words in Russian, later revealed to mean, "Brother, I will be with you always." The loss of Otis marked a turning point not just for the storyline, but for the cast and crew, who had grown to love Yuri like family. Now, half a decade later, Joe Minoso couldn't help but reflect on what Yuri and Otis brought to the series, and what he believes they could still bring. "Every time I walk into that Firehouse set, I feel his presence," Joe began, his voice tinged with emotion. "Yuri wasn't just a colleague, he was a brother. And Otis? He was the heart of Firehouse 51. Losing him was like losing a piece of our soul. Sometimes I still imagine him sitting at the common room table, cracking jokes or getting way too into board games." Joe paused, gazing out the window as if searching for the right words. "I've been talking to Derek Haas, the showrunner, about this for years. I don't want to undo Otis's heroic sacrifice, but I think there's a way to bring him back. Maybe not as a permanent character, but in a way that honors his legacy and gives the fans a chance to see him one more time." Exploring possibilities when pressed on how such a return might work, Joe leaned forward, a gleam of excitement in his eyes. "I've got a few ideas," he said with a chuckle. "What if Cruz is going through a rough patch, questioning his place in the Firehouse? He could have a dream, or maybe even a near-death experience, where Otis appears to guide him. Imagine Otis showing up in his quirky, lovable way, reminding Cruz why he became a firefighter in the first place." Joe's enthusiasm was infectious. He painted a vivid picture of Otis reappearing, complete with his signature humor and unrelenting optimism. It wouldn't just be a tearjerker. It would be a celebration of everything Otis stood for: bravery, loyalty, and a sense of family. Plus, Yuri's such a phenomenal actor. I know he'd knock it out of the park. A fan favorite idea. Fans of Chicago Fire have long echoed Joe's sentiments. Social media is still flooded with tributes to Otis, from fan art to video montages of his best moments. A recent Twitter poll asking if fans would like to see Yuri Sardarov return garnered over 50,000 votes, with an overwhelming 95% voting yes. I think the fans feel the same way I do, Joe said, smiling. Otis isn't just a character, he's a symbol of what makes Firehouse 51 special. His humor, his courage, it's something we all need, especially now. Joe revealed that he and Yuri remain close friends, often reminiscing about their time on set. We still talk all the time, he shared. Yuri's got this amazing sense of humor, and he's always been so supportive. I've told him about my dream of bringing Otis back, and he's open to the idea. I think he misses it too. The impact of Otis' return. Bringing Otis back, even temporarily, would be no small feat. The writers would need to strike a delicate balance between honoring his sacrifice and creating a believable storyline. But for Joe, the potential payoff is worth the effort. It wouldn't just be about Cruz, Joe explained. Otis' return could impact everyone at 51. Imagine how Herman, Mouch, or Kid would react to seeing him again. It could be a moment of healing for all of them, especially for the fans who never got to say a proper goodbye. Joe's voice softened as he added, and let's not forget the new firefighters who joined the team since Otis passed. They never got to know him. What better way to show them what Firehouse 51 is all about than by introducing them to the spirit of Otis? Yuri Sardarov weighs in reach for comment. Yuri Sardarov expressed his own excitement about the possibility of returning to Chicago Fire. I've heard whispers here and there, he said. Joe and I have definitely talked about it. I think it would be an incredible opportunity, not just for me, but for the fans who've kept Otis's memory alive. Yuri shared his own ideas for how Otis could make a reappearance. I'd love to do a flashback episode, he suggested, something that dives deeper into Otis's life before the firehouse or even during his early days at 51, or maybe something completely surreal, like Joe said, a dream sequence. I'm open to anything as long as it's done with love and respect. What's next? While there are no official plans to bring Otis back to Chicago Fire, Joe Minoso remains hopeful. We've got such a creative team, he said. If anyone can figure out a way to make it happen, it's them. I'm just going to keep putting it out into the universe and see what happens. For now, fans can take comfort in knowing that the spirit of Otis lives on, not just in the hearts of his Firehouse family, but in the millions of viewers who continue to celebrate his legacy. As the interview wrapped up, Joe offered one final thought. At the end of the day, Chicago Fire is about family. And no matter how much time has passed, Otis will always be a part of that family. Who knows? Maybe one day, we'll hear his laugh echoing through Firehouse 51 again. I know I'd give anything to see that happen. With a hopeful smile, Joe Minoso headed back into the Chicago chill, leaving fans everywhere dreaming of the day Otis might return to the Firehouse and to their screens.